Hey YouTubers, and welcome back to, okay, that is Kanji. We're just gonna skip everything. Okay guys, so you guys saw the thumbnail. One of the first things before I introduce Kanji, let him say hi, is that I'm sorry for the lack of uploads recently. Just as I said in my last video, which was like a week ago, oh my gosh, what happens to the time? I'm in a weird specific area this summer, and so I'm not really in an area where I can record all the time, so less uploads. I'm sorry about that, but hopefully once the school year starts getting underway and everything like that, I'm going to have way more time to actually put into all my channels, not just this one, but also Real Talk, and if things go swimmingly, maybe even a third podcast type channel with a friend of mine later, which Kanji, if we find some place and you'd like to join, would hopefully be a guest of if he's so kind. So hey, Kanji, with that, why don't you say hello to everyone listening?
First of all, yeah, of course, I'd be happy to help out on the new channel whenever you'd need me. I'd be obliged. But also, in my current situation, I'm also in a similar situation where I'm not uploading as much as I'd like to at the moment because I'm working on a fusion challenge and stuff. So, of course, all of these things do get us under the work, unfortunately. But yeah, thank you for inviting me on this, man. I'm really excited to be here.
First of all, before we get into this again, please make sure to go check out Kanji's fusion challenges because they're super freaking hilarious. But with that being said, guys, we're going to get back into a little series I put on my channel a couple months back, and I haven't had a chance to actually get one of my many collaborators on to have a bunch of fun and talk about speculating what Dragon Ball Super should have done and fights that we should have seen throughout the entire series. Like I said, you saw the title, you saw the thumbnail. We have Hit versus Golden Frieza in the Tournament of Power and why they should have done that, how they should have done that, and what it would have meant for both characters for the most part. So look, I'm going to just place this somewhere in the Tournament of Power. Kanji, you're more than welcome to agree with me or disagree with me or just switch it up where you think it actually should have happened. But I think breaking it down, we have Goku helping Hit fight Dispo, but Frieza, being kind of the sneaky guy that he is, has been watching from the sidelines and he sees what Hit is doing. He hears what Dispo says about Hit's ability and ways that he combats it, and he sees that Hit is able to improve and just mollywop Dispo throughout the entirety of the ring, and you're wondering, what is this all like boiling down to? You know, this is just in my little pitch. Like, what is this all boiling down to? What is going to happen? Is Frieza going to fight Hit at some point? How would he even fight Hit to actually get an upper hand? And one of the reasons I think this would make sense leading up to the fight is because at this point in the Tournament of Power, we haven't seen Frieza do a whole lot of anything. I mean, Frieza's just kind of been sitting around, looking around, taking out really weak people, and not really getting his hands dirty. But Hit is that...
And of course laughing.
Yeah, and of course laughing, but Hit is that one guy where he's like, oh, okay, I see this guy, I see his abilities, he might be a problem for me, so I need to figure out a way to fight him. And so we have Hit improving everything, and Frieza's sitting there figuring out how he's going to fight Hit and what he's going to do in order to get the upper hand on Hit. Plus, it shows that Frieza is a little bit more conniving. He's a little bit more patient than he was the last time we saw him in Dragon Ball Super. Just a way of reaffirming that I was kind of self-training in that cocoon in hell as much as I could in order to control my power, and now I'm just kind of true Golden Frieza form. So I think what happens, and this is kind of hitting two birds with one stone, instead of getting that fight between Frieza and Frost and Gohan, where Frieza kind of takes Frost for a loop and hits him out, take all that out, he kind of plays chess in the Tournament of Power and gets Gohan to fight Hit. One of the things I think a lot of us really wanted to see in the tournament, getting them kind of up against each other, maybe using Frost as a means of actually doing this. And when Hit is distracted, you know, he can only use his Tokodabashi for so much, but he might be destroying Gohan, and Frieza comes in and starts wailing on Hit faster than he can use the Tokodabashi. And I think that that is something he would see from Dispo, is Hit is only able to use that so much, but at the same time, if you can get the first hit on him and stop him from even being able to use it or think about using it, you can just destroy him enough to get him hurt and probably off the ring. Of course, I think one of the things that they would have to do is figure out a way to break up this fight somehow so neither Hit nor Frieza actually ends up losing, so they could be used later down the line in the fights with Jiren. But this is something I'd really like to see, and it would be a great way to use in Gohan, maybe even Frost or Kaba or anybody else as well, showing off Hit's ability as not only the team leader, because he would be fighting for probably Frost, or maybe Kaba comes in and helps him, which helps play up that I'm going to fight for Kaba, Kale, and Caulifla during the last parts of fighting with Jiren later. So I know there's a bit of a mouthful. That's what I would do. I don't think Frieza has the ability or hearing capability or anything else like that to really counteract the Tokudabashi. I'm not even sure he's that smart to counteract the Tokudabashi, but I think he's would undermine Hit by just allowing himself to wail on him enough so he couldn't actually use it, and we would have to see Hit actually evolve out of that, maybe using it in an Ultra Instinct type of way where he doesn't realize how he's going to move or think about it, you know?
Yeah, I completely agree. And I think one of the things that I need to touch up on here as well is the fact that regardless of what the situation happens in this particular, what a fight we wanted to see, one thing that was very abundantly clear in the actual fighting in the Tournament of Power we saw in the show is that Frieza was one of the only people that was actually smart enough to actually look at the tournament as it was and a means to survive. So what he was doing was creating fake friendships and all this kind of stuff. And he wasn't caring about any of the other people in this tournament. He just wanted to win. And that's really the type of people that you need on your team in this kind of tournament. You don't need people and I will give credit where credit's due. Gohan did sort of even though he showed remorse for the fact he was eliminating people, he did not hold back. So it is one thing that was definitely going for Gohan there. But in the situation of Frieza just would take people out regardless, and he would enjoy the fact he was actually taking people out. And so that actually made him a really useful team member. In a situation where he might interject and try and take on Hit because he actually sees him as a threat is something that's very likely. The other thing that Frieza has going for him is, even though perhaps, if Hit's been worn down a little bit, because of course Frieza wouldn't just jump in and think, I'm going to take him on while he's got his full power. What Frieza would do is wait until he looked like he could pick him off and play with him a bit. And the chances are, if Hit had already kind of used up a lot of his energy and stuff doing the Tokitabashi and stuff, it really puts Frieza in a position where even his tail comes in handy. If Hit tries to sneak up behind him or something using it, and Frieza's able to almost kind of predict what he's going to do, which is of course how Goku beat him in the Universe 6 arc. Frieza can use his tail to wrap his tail around his hand and all this kind of stuff. Prevent those punches from actually making contact, and that is something I really would have liked to have seen, because Frieza realistically is the perfect opponent in this in the way that it's been drummed up between the two of them. Hit, of course, it doesn't really seem to do a whole lot of running around and all this kind of stuff. He is generally just sticking to his time-skipping techniques, and other than that, he just kind of stands there with his hands in his pocket like some dude trapped in the rain, not wanting to get his arms wet. But, Frieza is this kind of guy that would like to sort of just kind of pick his opponents off. He'll run around, he'll play with them, he'll torture them as much as he can. And as you were saying with let's try and not make the fight end with the two of them, when you suggested maybe Kaba would come into it, this leads onto a perfect situation where Frieza would want to take on the Saiyans. And him being distracted by seeing Saiyans was something that he would likely actually push his fight with Hit aside for. Sort of like, what's this? Like 3 Saiyans that I can pick off and have some fun with. Well, if I can't kill Goku and Vegeta at the moment and Gohan, I may as well take it out on these guys. And that's something I also feel was missing, but that's for a different video.
Oh, no, of course. I want to just kind of elaborate on what I was saying and kind of jump into what you were saying as well when it comes to Frieza, his conniving abilities, and how he would end up tricking Hit in order to get the edge on him when they're fighting. The thing I think would be really awesome, like I said, you kind of merge a fight with Gohan, Frost, Frieza, and then you also kind of put Hit in the mix there. At the very beginning of the tournament, we have Frieza kind of conniving with Frost. What are they doing? What are they kind of coming up with? Obviously, Frost still takes out Krillin, and then you have Frieza after the fight with Dispo and Hit's a little bit hurt. He's still not completely 100% like you said, and a little tired. Frieza goes to Gohan. Of course, Gohan can be separated from Piccolo with some kind of scuffle that they're in, whatever goes on there. But Frieza approaches Gohan. It's kind of like, what's going on here? What is he doing? This is not like Frieza, but Frieza's like, look, you just saw this guy fight. I don't know if you know him, but maybe we should take him out. He's a problem for us. And they kind of have this off-screen dialogue that we never get to see, or we're not privy to, where they make this plan. You know, you're going to fight him. You're going to make him use his Tokutobashi. And as soon as I see him hit you, I'm going to come in and do the same thing he does to Jiren when they're fighting. You know, he comes out of nowhere and just destroys him. So, like, that's what I would really like to see. But just to put a little bit extra spice in there, a little bit extra twisted, so we like, this is the Frieza that I know. Like, this is the Frieza that I wanted to see in this tournament. Frost shows up, right? So Gohan fights Hit after Frieza tells him to. Obviously, Hit takes on Gohan and starts beating up Gohan. Gohan gets a little weaker, but they know that's what's going to happen because Frieza's going to get the drop on Hit. He's going to take Hit out, and Gohan's going to have enough time to recover, and it's going to be a big win for Universe 7. But just as that's happening, Frost shows up and starts wailing on Gohan because Gohan's too weak to actually fight him at this point. And it's starting to seem clear that this was Frieza's plan all along. Like, he wanted to take Gohan out because he wants the wish. And everyone in the audience and even at, you know, the people watching at home are super confused. What's going on? Like, Frieza's just playing everyone right now because he's going to take out Hit. He's going to take out Gohan. He might even take out Frost after this. This is crazy. And so during all of that, Frieza has him on the ropes. Like you said, Kaba, Kale, Caulifla, probably just Kaba comes in and starts helping Frost, or starts helping Hit. So that takes out Frieza's motivation to fight Hit. Hit gets away. He starts healing up. He starts resting. And in the meantime, like you said, it might kind of pivot Frieza's attention to go put his anger out on all the Saiyans of Universe 6, but we can also get that scene where Frieza backstabs Frost and throws him off the ring as well. That's just a lot going on, I know, but that would have been so epic, and it would have just led to one of the best fights and best sequences in all the Tournament of Power, in my opinion.
Well, I completely agree. Excuse me. I completely agree. One of the things also that is that I wanted to see from Frieza in much as very similar ways to the way that you kind of put across is his conniving ways and, you know, the plans that he comes up with. And the thing that I thought was, you know, I understood why they did it at the beginning, but the idea that, especially this is the way that it started playing out in the manga as well, but, you know, a lot of people don't like talking about the way that it played out in the manga, but the way that Frieza sort of half teamed up with Frost for a little while, looked like they were working together. The thing that kind of bothered me is the fact that Frieza really could have tried to play on that friendship, you know, sort of maybe convincing Frost, sort of to helping Frost eliminate somebody weak on the team, like Krillin. And sort of using that as a leverage sort of thing, and then Frieza going, look, I've proved my loyalty to you and this little faction we've got going on. Now I want you to prove your loyalty to me. Eliminate somebody from your team, and then we can know that we're in this together, kind of thing. And then if they were to work together, eliminating somebody from Universe 6, or they could have gone around for a while eliminating people as a pair. And that would have, regardless of what universe, just try and make it like that. And then Frieza would have backstabbed him. But the reason that this actually plays into the whole situation with the Hit fight is the fact that Frieza could have tried to use Frost to get one over on Hit. And I firmly believe that this is something that could have happened, because even before the tournament started, we saw that Frost was actually scared of Hit. He was scared that he was coming to try and assassinate him. So Frost obviously actually would like to get rid of Hit himself. You know, he would like to take him out of the situation so he can have his ruling over the world and stuff like this, and in Universe 6 if they won. So realistically, this could work out very well for both parties. So taking out Hit would have been something that would have made sense. The thing from Hit's perspective, however, I think is what they should have done, is to try and make Hit last until the end of the tournament. If they'd have actually sort of sat down strategically at the beginning of this tournament and sort of said, right, Hit, we know you're very powerful. We want you to stick around, so stop getting yourself into fights and literally keep using the Tokitobashi to do what he did with Caulifla and keep catching people before they get eliminated. And if they were to do that, they could have almost kept most of the team in Universe 6's side of things until the very end. And then Frieza could have gone on a rampage getting rid of a lot of them and then possibly picked off Hit during that, which would have also waited until Hit was a lot weaker. these are many things that I think they should have done with it. And had they actually put a little bit more of the planning side of it and sort of maybe introduced the characters a little bit better before the tournament started, we would have been more aware of their abilities and we would have been able to strategize ourselves as the viewers at home to be able to sit down and go, okay, right, let's say you had Universe 6. What would you do to strategize them and all this kind of stuff? How would you make this play out? And then you had to really manage to build the fights yourself based on the likelihood of the characters being in certain positions at certain times. But that's what I would like to have seen, more sort of tactical sort of stuff done with that.
Uh-huh. That would have been that would have been really kind of cool though. Like Frieza playing everyone, kind of jumping off like visually. A visual example of what you're saying here that I would have liked to see is, like you said, Frieza takes out Krillin, and then Frost has to take up Dr. Rota or whatever. And when visually what they show us is them conniving at the very beginning of the tournament, and then when Krillin gets taken out, like he gets taken out by a Frieza tail or something, like a Frieza leg, and because they're kind of similar in skin tone, Frieza's not in his golden form yet, but you don't get to see exactly who did it. It's like, okay, well, Frost did that or something, like something, or maybe even just a shadow of, Frieza looking being in the final form, because they look similar. And so we're like, oh man.
Yeah, especially their silhouette.
Yeah, so like Frost did that, and then Frieza did this, when it comes to that, until we realize in this scene that no, they did it in shadows or something where no one got to see them. And this kind of ended up being like, oh, they were plotting this. So Frieza, like I said at the beginning, gets Gohan to fight Hit so he can take out Hit. But then it kind of turns into Frieza versus Hit, and then Frost versus Gohan, and then it kind of shifts. So it's like, just for a moment, even though Frieza's playing everyone, he's trying to get Hit and Frost out, and maybe even weaken Gohan just a little bit so he knows that he might be the last one out. It becomes Hit and Gohan versus Frost and Frieza. So it's like, where are loyalties in this scene? And so we get another team up between things, and it's not just the one team up in a battle royale that everyone wanted to see. It wasn't just Goku and Hit. We get to see Gohan and Hit fighting Frost and Frieza. That would have been really epic in my opinion. And then of course, you have Kaba come in to try to help his teammates or something, or try to break everything up, and we get that one little thing where Frost is taken out by Frieza, and we realize that this was Frieza's plan all along, and he's loyal to Universe 7. That would have been really epic in my opinion. I think that would have been an interesting way to play Frieza's character. This is the Frieza that we knew, we loved from the original series, and at the same time, this is Frieza a little bit more mature than we last saw him. He's willing to think this stuff out and actually go about it in an interesting way.
Yeah, and I mean, ultimately, he's also trying to use his teammates to his advantage in the same sense as actually, of course, he wants the universe to win because he wants the Dragon Balls, he wants the Wish, and he also needs a universe to exist in. So, it makes sense that he would be doing that in the sense that also he's trying to weaken his teammates to try and get the Wish for himself. So, yeah, I think ultimately this really does seem like it would have been the best way for it to play out. There's not really a whole lot I feel like I can add right now based on the things we've come up with collectively, and to say that it would be an even better suggestion, but I think it actually does work out really well the way that we've sort of planned it in our heads.
I completely agree, and I hope everyone listening at home thinks that as well. Guys, we're just going to end it there. I hope everyone has enjoyed this little collaboration, this discussion. We don't do a whole lot anymore.
I didn't.
Okay, that's fine. But I know Kanji and I don't do a lot of videos anymore together, but hopefully that will change in the near future, and this series will continue to go on, because as long as I can get one of my friends on here and we could talk about two characters potentially meeting up somewhere in the confines of the Dragon Ball Super story, or where it would have actually ended up, I think we can come up with something that would have been really interesting for the overall scope of the series, that would have advanced both characters in a really interesting way that we didn't get in the series. But with that being said, guys, I hope everyone has a fantastic day. Don't forget to go down to the description section below, hit that link, and go subscribe to World King Kanji. The guy makes some really awesome content, like the fusion challenges that I mentioned at the beginning of this video. I hope you guys will also like, comment, and subscribe to my channel as well. Hit that bell over by the subscriber button to notify you every single time I upload, because YouTube is just a little bit broken these days, and it probably doesn't tell you every single time I upload, or it even just unsubscribes you. So if you do come across this and you were subscribed and you're not now, then make sure to hit that subscribe button again. I hope everyone is having a fantastic day, fantastic week. We're going to catch y'all in the next video. It's been real.
Bye!